Alrighty, my name is Mike Gorski. This is an interview for John Guidry of Guidry Golf and Sport. John reached out to me via Instagram and wanted to help him out. Wanted to give him an interview, a little bit of insight as to who I am. Um, don't know why anyone would want to know that, but hey, he reached out and I responded back. He sent me this awesome list of questions, and I was like, hey, you mind if I do a video? That way I can hammer it out faster. I can talk a lot better than I can type, and that way I can articulate things a little bit more. So that's the purpose of recording this. I'm going to have the questions up here. Cool. Alrighty, so first question, who am I? Who am I? I am a personal trainer, a registered dietitian. I've been ACE certified since 2009, and I've been a registered dietitian since 2014. And along the way, I've gotten many other certifications. TPI, obviously, level 2 golf specialist, PPSC through John Russin, CPPS through Joe DeFranco and Jim Smith, Online Trainer Academy. So yeah, lots of certs along the way. What got me started in the world of health and fitness? And what does my career journey look like? Well, I've always been interested in training. I've always been an athlete, and sports really kind of changed my life. I was a very introverted kid. I was kind of a soft kid as far as I wasn't scrawny, I wasn't chubby, I was just kind of soft. Some might say I was a little doughy. And I got into fitness because of football. And not only did it make physical changes in my body, but it really made emotional and mental changes for me. Kind of got me out of my shell, got me a little bit more personable, able to talk to people without staring at the floor. And I always liked training. I love playing sports. I played football and track in high school, and I did track for a year in college. But I always liked the training aspect because I could see, hey, I lifted this weight last week. I lifted this weight this week. I'm getting stronger. I'm working hard, and I'm seeing the fruits of my labor pretty quickly. I decided to become a registered dietitian because I knew I wanted to do training, but I knew that nutrition was a big component of it. And for me, having the kind of highest standard level of being a nutrition professional was being a registered dietitian. That allows me to be able to practice what is called medical nutrition therapy versus a nutrition coach. Now, there's a lot of great nutrition coaches out there who aren't registered dietitians, and there's a lot of registered dietitians out there who aren't the best nutrition coaches. But I knew that I didn't want to end up in a clinical setting. The clinic is not for me. Being in a hospital is not for me. I wanted to help people help people avoid going to the clinic. So I like the preventative side of nutrition. I also like the performance side of nutrition, and just overall helping people change their body. And that's the biggest difference between a registered dietitian and nutrition coach is that medical nutrition therapy component. So I can use nutrition from a medical standpoint. Say somebody has type 2 diabetes. I can get into specifics with their nutrition, how it reacts with their medications. The medications are still doctor's orders. I don't bother changing doctor's orders. That's not my deal. But I can at least look at drug-nutrient interactions, supplement nutrient-drug interactions, and take a medical component approach to nutrition. Whereas nutrition coaches without the registered dietitian are not supposed to be doing that. Anybody can coach people on how to eat more vegetables, how to eat more protein, that kind of stuff. But from a registered dietitian standpoint, I'm able to work more clinically, but not in a clinic. As a dietitian, what type of patients / clients do I typically work with? Most of them are general pop, just looking to be healthier, whether that's losing 10 pounds, maybe get off some medications. And lately it's been a little bit more performance-based. So I've been working with some endurance athletes. I've been working with a few power athletes, water skiers, and golfers. So kind of a wide variety of people, but I'd say a majority of them are just general population looking to improve their overall health. Question 4, along with being a dietitian, do you also train clients? Yes, I kind of already covered that. I would say that is the bulk of my time is spent at the gym training clients in person, whether it's semi-private or some one-on-ones. What type of approaches or methodologies do I take with clients' nutritional programs? That could be a very long answer because it depends, and that's a cop-out answer. But I really try to meet the client where they're at. So we'll sit down or we'll get on a call if they're a remote client, and we'll kind of go over what's been going on. What's your past look like? What's your history? What are you currently eating? Do you know what you're currently eating? Where do you want to get? And then we create a custom plan to get them from point A to point B to point C to point D. Now, within that plan, there's many different approaches, and I'm going to try to find what works best for the individual, not what works best for me. And that's where a lot of coaches go wrong, is they get very set in their ways, and they're like, you have to eat this way, you can't eat this, you must eat this. The human body is so diverse and so different that what works for one person might not work for another. Now, there are some pretty universal truths to nutrition, but people can be very different based off of where they're currently at, where their goals are, what their genetic makeup is, what medications they might be on, what illnesses they have. So it's very individualized from that standpoint. What are the biggest barriers that I run into when helping clients to make changes in their eating habits? And do you have any advice for people trying to break these barriers? Yes. I would say the biggest barriers are people trying to do too much. We're constantly bombarded with magazines, celebrities, social media, this diet, that diet, this diet, lose 7 pounds in 5 days, drink this and you'll be happy for life. These things are rarely the actual answer. Quick fixes don't work. I always tell my clients, if quick fixes worked, if fat burning pills worked, if over-the-counter muscle-boosting supplements worked, I would be selling them. I would have my stocks stocked with them, and I'd be selling them. But the truth is they don't work. And people get too fixated on doing all these massive changes that it's not sustainable. It's too different from what they're currently doing. So that goes back to my philosophy with find where the person is at and work from there. If I know that somebody is eating fast food for 3 meals a day, I'm not going to say, okay, you need to stop doing all of that. You need to start eating salad, lean proteins, fibrous carbohydrates, healthy fats. No, I'm going to work with them to eventually maybe get them there. But too many people try to go from point A to point Z instead of just going from A to B. Get at B, go to C. So we try to do too much because that's how our brains work. We want instant gratification. We want it now. Nobody's out there selling a 1-year transformation program. You see all these 21-day, 20 days, 15 days, 2 weeks transformation. You're not going to undo years and years worth of self-sabotage or neglect in 14 days. You might be able to learn some stuff, but it is a process, and it is a long process that is best played in the long game. What advice would you give someone who has limited resources to spend a ton of money on food and limited time to cook? So yeah, the common misconception is that healthy eating is expensive. When you really break it down, it's not as expensive as eating out, that's for sure, and it's not as expensive as people normally think. For example, at the time of filming this, last night our dinner that we had was lean sirloin steak on the grill, broccoli, and white rice. Pretty basic meal. The grill literally took about 2 minutes per side on the steaks. We use instant white rice, takes 5 minutes. We steam the broccoli, takes about 5 minutes. So right there, it was a maybe 10-minute cooking process from prepping to eating. And I got the sirloin steaks at a deal. They were $5 for the steaks. The white rice is like $5 for a giant box, and the broccoli, buy a big bag of frozen broccoli for like $2. You break that down into how many meals you're going to get out of that, it's pretty cheap. The key is knowing, taking advantage of sales, yes, but also using your time wisely. Whether it's you want to do like meal prep on a Sunday, that's not for me personally. Some people do that with all the Tupperware. But it could come down to just if you make one dinner for, say, you and your partner, then make enough dinner that you know you're going to have leftovers. So then that can be lunch the next day. As far as spending money, it just comes down to deciding where you want to invest your money in, right? It's an investment. Your diet is a direct investment in your health. Personally, it's one of the things that I have no problem spending a little bit more money on if I know it's providing me with quality nutrition. So it first comes down to priorities and looking at where are you currently spending your money, and is it on things that are making you healthier or less healthy? Divert some of those resources over to things that are making you healthy. From there, if you're still limited on money, taking advantage of sales, buying things in bulk. Vegetables can be bought frozen. They don't need to be eaten fresh. They're picked at their prime peak season and flash frozen. All the nutrients are there. Take advantage of those kind of things. Buying bulk lean chicken, turkey, beef. Your proteins are going to be your most expensive options, but they can still be relatively inexpensive if you're using them correctly. What are some simple tips you can give for people getting started with trying to make changes to their eating habits? Again, don't start too big. Start small, think small, and then go smaller. So what I always do with clients is we look at what's the lowest hanging fruit that's going to make the biggest impact. So what's the smallest thing that we can change, the easiest, that's going to make a big impact? 9 times out of 10 for most people, it comes down to liquid calories, whether it's soda, juice, alcohol, any form of liquid calorie that we can cut out, that's going to make a big impact with minimal effort. So it's always going to be start small, progress over perfection, because that's another mistake I see from people is they try to do too much and they put too much stress on themselves to be perfect, right? And like anything else, this is a process. There is a learning curve. So learn through the process and enjoy the process. Don't focus on the ultimate goal. Focus on the things that you need to be doing to get you there. And if you're doing those processes, the results will essentially come to you. What are some go-to meals that I use when limited on time? Sandwiches. And, some people are very anti-carb, anti-gluten. Again, that's an individual thing. I can handle bread. So I think a lot of people think sandwiches are inherently unhealthy because of the whole low-carb phase craze. For the right person, a sandwich can be very simple. I load it up with more meat than most people put on there, and then I'll have either a side of cottage cheese or a Greek yogurt. So I'm getting high protein, getting some carbohydrates in there, load up the veggies, get a little bit of healthy fats in there, put some olive oil on it. Breakfasts, overnight oats are a big one for me. When I'm crunched for time, I'll make them the night before. So overnight oats are essentially a 1-to-1 ratio of dry oats to liquid. I use Fairlife milk. I can't do regular milk. That does not sit well with me, but Fairlife is excellent. So if you got a cup of oats, you got a cup of liquid, and then you put whatever else you want in there. I'll put some nuts, I'll put some berries, mix it all up, put it in the fridge the night before. The oats absorb the liquid. You can eat it cold the next morning, or if you like it warmed up, you can warm it up the next morning as well. As far as dinners go, again, it's that what I call kind of my go-to dinner template. It's vegetable, protein, healthy carbohydrate. And from there, it's what's the protein, what's the vegetable, what's the carb. Those rotate, but I know that if they're taking up a certain amount of space on my plate, I'm good. Any last pieces of advice that you would give the readers as it relates, or the viewers in this case, as it relates to making changes in their health and fitness? Again, progress over perfection. Don't sweat the small stuff. Don't overthink the small stuff either. A lot of times I'll get questions on things where someone will say like, "Hey, should I eat this?" And I know nothing about what else they're eating. I know nothing about their lifestyle. I know nothing about their activity levels. And so I can't just be like no or yes, because anybody who does that, that's a lazy answer. You've got to dive deeper into it. Like I said, some people can tolerate gluten very well. Some people can't. Some people can tolerate dairy very well. Some people can't. Everything's individual. So don't get wrapped up in, the little things. And then also don't get wrapped up in the quick fixes. Don't fall for that stuff. Most people know what they need to be doing, right? We don't lack the knowledge. The knowledge is all out there as well. The knowledge is on Google. We live in a time where you can get all the knowledge you need. It's the execution and the action and the troubleshooting that we struggle with. So don't overanalyze, don't overread things, don't look into the next latest and greatest craze. Most people know they should be limiting their sugars, limiting their unhealthy fats, eating more vegetables, eating lean proteins, eating the right amount of carbohydrates based off of their activity levels. Simple things, but taking action and making those things happen is where most people struggle. Same thing with fitness goes. Like, more is not better, better is better. Quality movements, focusing on good form, having an actual plan and a goal instead of just training for the sake of sweating or feeling exhausted. A good trainer or a good coach makes you better, not sore. Yes, you should be a little bit sore after certain workouts, but are you progressing towards your ultimate goal, or are you just working out for the sake of sweating and being sore? There's a difference. So it's train better, train smarter, eat better, eat smarter, and then it's just taking action on that. Where can people find more about me and access the great information I put out there? Well, I appreciate that. Pretty much everything is MG Fit Life. So MG for Mike Gorski Fit Life. So Instagram, Facebook, mgfitlife.com. I've got an email list on there where I send out a newsletter every Tuesday, and I usually put up a new blog every Thursday. So the email list is like the insider's list. You can find links to subscribe on there. The blog is on there. The blog also gets published to Facebook. I'm usually posting multiple times on Instagram, my Instagram stories. So I try to put out as much free content as I can because I want to put more knowledge out there. I want to help as many people as possible. I want to make an impact with as many people as possible. So it's MG Fit Life, social media platforms. Email is mike@mgfitlife.com. If anyone has any specific questions or they want to chat more, always looking to help. So I want to thank John. I really appreciate the opportunity to do this interview. I hope this video works out all right. I'm going to upload it to YouTube, and by the time you guys are watching this, should be good to go. So appreciate it. Thanks for the awesome questions. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to reach out. I always want to help.